Hello, wonderful people of the interwebs. I am EldestSon, and thank you for joining me today. In this video, I am going to ask and hopefully answer the question: are esports real sports? Spoiler alert: I think that they are. And to demonstrate this, I created this presentation and created like a bit of a case study for Starcraft II, showing that maybe it is a real sport. So I picked that just because it's a game that I play, something that I enjoy to play, and something I'm a little bit passionate about. So hopefully I can convince you that esports are real sports. So first off, we're going to start with the definition of a sport, because we can't decide what is a sport and what isn't a sport if we don't know what a sport is to begin with, right? So I pulled this this definition off of the internet. So Oxford Dictionary says that a sport is an activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or a team competes against another or others for entertainment. So I picked out 4 key parts of that definition that hopefully I will convince you that Starcraft satisfies, and then therefore Starcraft is a sport. And I'd love to hear what you think too. So they are competition, entertainment for others, skill, and physical exertion. So we'll go over each of those in turn, but first off, what is Starcraft II? Maybe you're not 100% sure what it is. So we'll brush over it really quick. So Starcraft II is a real-time strategy game, and it has several different game modes, but they're all centered around gathering resources, using those resources to build buildings and units, and using your units and buildings to destroy all of your opponents' units and buildings. But the main game mode that's played competitively, there's the key word there, is 1 versus 1, and that's played all around the world. There's a professional scene and everything. It's pretty crazy, and it's lots of fun. You should try it out. So yeah, as I mentioned, there is a professional Starcraft II community out there. They host tournaments, and these tournaments are watched by thousands of people, me being one of them. But just to give you a sense of scale, and it's not just like dirty EldestSon sitting in his basement watching some other nasty nerd play video games, it is in fact pretty huge. So these professional players play in online and LAN tournaments, as I mentioned, and during the last WCS finals, 100,000 people watched it live in 2016. So that's a lot of people. That's not like chump change. And these 2 photos down in the corners here are showing tournament events. The bottom left one is, I believe, from Starcraft I, Brood War. But like, you would think that was like a rock concert or something. It's crazy. And the one on the bottom right is from 2014 BlizzCon. May have heard of BlizzCon. But yeah, it's pretty big. It's not like a small gathering of friends or anything. And yeah, so and there's lots of money at stake here too, because there's $6.7 million were given away from 2012 to 2016 to these professional StarCraft players in the WCS. This is quite a bit. That's over $1 million every single year. So this is where, I forgot to mention that this is where we are. This is fulfilling the watching for entertainment part of the definition of sport. So now we get into skill. This is where some people get lost. They don't really think that it is a real sport, because does it really require serious skill? Maybe. But I really think it does, because if you've ever played StarCraft, you know that it is a very difficult game to play. So these salaried professionals have to practice daily and receive personal coaching in order to build and maintain the skills that they've learned playing StarCraft. So just to name a couple skills that they require to be very good at StarCraft: you need very good multitasking skills. You need to be able to make split-second decisions, as well as mixed in there making decisions that will affect your long-term strategy, like building the right buildings, building up the right type of army to defeat your opponent. And you also need to be able to create fast and precise mouse movements and keystrokes. And we'll see that in a second here, but I like to compare it to golf for this reason. So golfers they're not very cardiovascular fit. Like, it doesn't really require like you be able to run long distances or exert yourself in that way. But what it does require is for you to be able to hit the golf ball very precisely and accurately, so that you can hit it consistently and to where you want it to go to get into that golf hole. And that's kind of my analogy to like a real sport, quote unquote. But now we are going to take a look at a professional Starcraft II player. Once I flip over to the other scene here. So we are going to watch Bjorn play here. He is a professional Starcraft II player. We're seeing this game from his perspective. He is the green Terran guys here, and he's playing against the red Zerg players. Zerg player, singular. And we're going to see him do quite a few different things. He's going to be controlling 2 different armies. This army here, and then another one in the kind of the southern part of the map. And he's also going to be building units and structures all while he's controlling these 2 armies. So watch down here to see what he's selecting. You'll see him flick back to his production buildings while still looking at his army, create some units, and then keep controlling his armies. It's pretty mind-boggling, but let's get into it. So here he goes. He's microing his army here, and you see him flick back right there to build some more units. And he's sending this other army to another location while engaging again in that western part of the map, or eastern part rather. He's microing medevacs, building more units, and he's just doing all of these things kind of at once. He's battling in 2 different places, building units, building structures, and fighting as well. So it's pretty crazy what he's able to do. And this requires a lot of like very quick mouse movements and hand movements to do this. So it does take a lot of skill. Yeah, so Bjorn is awesome. So there he is, wrecking his opponent. So let's get back to the presentation here. Okay, so if you think you can just pick up a game and just do that, I highly challenge you to do it. I don't think you'll be able to do it if you've never played Starcraft II before. And this is what it kind of looks like when these guys are playing. You can see this guy's hands are just all over the place, especially his left hand just mashing away on the keyboard. And this is where I think physical exertion comes into StarCraft. So I wasn't 100% sure where skill and physical exertion kind of like what delineates those 2 things. So I found another definition for physical exertion, and there were a couple of different ones, but they're all pretty much said the same thing. The definition goes, physical exertion is the activity of exerting your muscles in various ways to keep fit. Now, you wouldn't normally associate a video game with being physically fit, but here's my argument. StarCraft II requires an immense amount of muscle memory, and you need to train that. You need to maintain it, and it's essentially you're keeping fit. You need that muscle memory so that you're fit enough to play StarCraft II at the highest level. Because if you take a break, for example, for like 6 months from StarCraft, you're going to lose that muscle memory, and you're going to need to retrain your muscles to achieve that great speed and dexterity that is required to play the game. So in my eyes, that is a type of fitness. You're needing to train it. You need to build your what's the word I'm looking for? Just build your ability to move that quickly. And it just doesn't happen overnight. It's like working out your muscles to get big biceps or whatever. It's just a little bit different, if you can wrap your head around it. That is this is where I lose a lot of people, where I've ran through these ideas past my peers and things, and this is where they really struggle to comprehend not really comprehend, but where they lose the argument, and then they say, well, does it really require for physical exertion? But I think it does. So that concludes my little spiel here. So I think StarCraft II does cover those 4 key points in the sports definition. StarCraft II is a competitive game. It's watched by many people for entertainment, and it requires a lot of skill, as you saw Bjorn going crazy there, as well as that guy just hammering away on the keyboard. And it requires constant training. You need the muscle memory in order to actually play the game. Because you can be the greatest StarCraft II strategist of all time. You could know the ins and outs of the game. But if you never picked up a keyboard and mouse, you won't be able to play the game physically. You just simply won't be able to. So Therefore, Starcraft II, I think, is a sport, and then by extension, other esports are real sports. So I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about this. If you agree with me, if you disagree with me, all that's fine and dandy. It adds to the discussion. And yeah, pop a like if you didn't. If you like this, give me a dislike if you didn't. In any case, I hope you have a wonderful day, and bye.